Yes, so welcome back, friend. In the previous video, we have discussed basic about the support vector machine. So this is what our decision boundary through which we separate these two classes, and two parallel lines are there through with the decision boundary, and we can identify these two parallel lines using the training data, which are called the support vectors. And with the help of this hyperplane, we can classify any unseen data, and we can identify the class level of any unseen data. For the given data set, we can identify various different hyperplanes, but our aim is to identify the maximal margin hyperplane, and it helps to identify the we classify the data properly. Now there are two types of two cases are there: separable cases and non-separable cases in linear SVM. In this video, we'll talk about linear SVM separable case. Now, a linear SVM is a classifier that searches for a hyperplane with the largest margin. Hence, it is called maximum margin classifier. So, definitely, our aim is to say we have a data, and our aim is to identify the margin, where we identify the hyperplane with the maximum margin. So this is what our training data, and assume this is what another training data. So the training data is what? Xi and Yi, where x is a vector and y is a class. Okay, and say n number of data are there. So I varies from 1 to n number of training data are there, and say the dimension of the data is say d is the dimension. That means xi is nothing but xi1 xi2 to xid. Now this is what the dimension. So total d dimension is there, d features are there, d columns are there, and one y is there. So in the okay, so x is a vector and y is a class, and that y yi belongs to two class, say -1 and 1. Assume this is one class, assume this is minus class, or 0 means one class, cross means -1 class. Okay, so here it is a straight line. We can, so this is what our decision boundary, this is what our decision boundary, and it's a straight line. That means we can represent by the equation, say wx plus b is equal to 0. Okay, so remember one thing, x is a vector as well as w is also a vector. Okay, and w and v, so x is a training data, okay, and w and b, these are the parameters. And any example located above the decision boundary must satisfy the above equation. Means if any data is on this particular decision boundary, say this one and this one, must satisfy this particular equation, and that is the equation of the decision boundary. Okay, let two data xa and xb on this particular decision boundary belongs to present on this particular decision boundary. That means we can write wxa plus b is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the equation of the decision boundary, and wxb plus b is equal to 0, because xa xb both are on the decision boundary. Now if you subtract it, then what will happen? Say wxa plus b minus wxb minus b is equal to 0. So w into xa minus xb is equal to 0, because we can cancel the b. Now x is a vector, okay, x is a vector, and xa minus xb is also a vector parallel to the decision boundary. So definitely xa minus xb, it is also a vector parallel to the decision boundary, and the product w is also a vector, and xa xb is a parallel to the decision boundary, and the product is 0. So this vector product, this vector is 0. Hence the direction of w must be perpendicular to the decision boundary. Hence both are vectors, and the multiplication of this dot product is 0. That means what? W must be perpendicular to the decision boundary. So w must be like this. Next, let x0, suppose a data, say this is what our x0, okay, and say this is what our x cross. Now x0 located above the decision boundary, and x0 located above the decision boundary, and x cross below the decision boundary. That means what? We can say w x0 plus b is equal to, say, k. It should not be 0, it should be more than something, more than 0. So where k is what? Greater than 0. And for x cross, we can write w x cross plus b is equal to k dash. It should be less than 0. So if it is on, it should be 0. If it is less than, left side should be the less than 0. So k dash should be less than 0. Now let let 0 is nothing but our plus, 0 is nothing but our plus class, and cross is nothing but our minus class. Then we can predict the class level y for any unseen data xu. Okay, so unseen data, say this is what our unseen data, which is, say, xu, and it's a vector. That means we can write like this way: if x into w into xu plus b is greater than 0, then we can assume it is a class level 1, and if w dot xu unseen data b is less than 0, then the class level should be -1. So if a data is above the decision boundary, then it should be what? W dot x0 plus b is equal to k. And if for unseen data, if it is greater than 0, because k is what? Greater than 0, then we assume that the data, unseen data, must belong to the 1 class, that is 0 class. And if it is less than 0, that means we can say it is a class level -1, that is a cross class. Okay. Next, we will discuss about margin of a linear classifier. So our aim is to identify the width of this particular margin. What should be the width? Okay, here w x0 plus b is equal to k, and w x cross plus b is equal to k dash. Now and here it is k. Now we can rescale it. Now we can rescale the parameters w and b of the decision boundary, so that the two parallel hyperplanes bi1 and bi2 can be expressed like bi1 should be wx plus b is equal to 1, and bi2 wx plus b is equal to -1. So we have to rescale w and b so that we can represent bi1 is equal to what? Wx plus b is equal to 1, and bi2 is nothing but wx plus b minus 1. Now the distance between two hyperplanes bi1 and bi2 is the margin of the decision boundary. So what is the decision boundary? What is the margin? So we can write to calculate the distance between bi1 and bi2. Let two data, say this is x2 on the bi1 and x1 it is on the bi2. Now two data are there, and that means what should be the equation of this particular for x2? So for x2 on bi1, that means for w x2 plus b is equal to 1, and here we can write w x1 for this x1 plus b is equal to -1, because x2 on the bi1 line and x1 on bi2 line. Okay, now Now to get the width, we can explain in two ways. Suppose what should be the width? It should be the difference x2 minus x1. Now the difference is what? x2 minus x1 is the width. The difference between x2 minus 1. Now if you multiply with the unit vector, with the multiply of the unit vector w by w, then that is nothing but the width of the margin. So x2 minus x1 into the width unit vector, that is nothing but the depth of the margin. So if we solve it, you can see wx2 minus wx1, and this is called the Euclidean norm of the w. So Euclidean norm of the w means what? We can write like this way. This one is nothing but square root of w and w. Okay, or we can write w1 square, w2 square, w1 square. Okay, so we can solve further. So wx2 is what? Wx2 is what? 1 minus b minus what is wx1? It should be minus 1 minus b. That means minus 1 minus b. So 1 minus b plus 1 plus b by w. So we can write 2 by w. That is the width. Or we can explain like this way. Now subtraction, the difference between wx2 plus b minus wx1, because these two the data are there. So we can write like this way. wx2 plus b, okay, minus wx1 minus b is equal to 1 minus 1. So it's a subtraction from this equation. So we can write wx2 minus x1, if it crosses, then it is 1 plus 1, it is 2. Now if you take the Euclidean norm in both, that means what? We can write like this way. W by w x2 minus x1 is equal to 2. So this is what? Unit vector multiply with the x2 minus x1, and that is what? It is a depth. So d is equal to 2 by, it will be somewhere here. So this is nothing but our depth, width of the margin. So we can explain like this way, as well as we can explain like this way also. Next we discuss about learning a linear SVM model. Learning. For the given data, we have to identify the W and B of the decision boundary from the trading data. Now the parameters W and B are selected in such a way that the following two conditions are met. What are those conditions? The conditions are W dot xi plus b must greater than is equal to 1 if yi is equal to 1, and wxi plus b should be less than equal to minus 1 if it belongs to class level minus 1. So in the, you can see this is for 0th class and this is for closed class. Now we can represent this particular equation in compact way. Okay, now y is equal to 1. So if you multiply with y, that means this one yi wxi plus b is what? It should be greater than equal to 1 because y is equal to 1. And in this equation, if you multiply with yi, which is minus 1, that means what? If you multiply the minus 1, that means yi wxi plus b, and it is a minus plus should be greater than equal to 1. Now we can get from this particular equation. Now we can see both are same. That means the compact representation of this one is wi yi w xi plus b greater than equal to 1, and where I varies from 1 to n. Now from this equation we can identify that all the 1 must above the hyperplane, okay, and all the minus 1 must below the hyperplane. That's mean for this one, so this represent this one, okay, and this particular equation represent this particular one. And moreover, the margin D must be maximal. So already we have identified the width of the margin. So it is what? D is equal to 2 by Euclidean norm of the W. So our aim is to maximize the D, maximize the D value, or we can write or minimize W by 2. Okay, so this is what our objective function. We have to minimize the Euclidean norm of the W. So SVM as optimization problem. So our aim is to now the depth is what? Depth is 1 2 by W, Euclidean norm of the W. That means our aim is to maximize the D, maximize this one, or we can write like this way: minimum W by 2, or for mathematical convenient, remember on this thing, for mathematical convenient we can write W square by 2. So this is what our main objective, minimize the W square by 2. So the SVM as optimization problem, okay, so our aim is to minimize the W by 2 subject to yi w xi plus b is greater than 1. Now here the objective function is quadratic, so it is a quadratic and the constants are linear, hence and constants are linear in the parameters w and b, hence it is a convex optimization problem. Okay, so hence it is a convex optimization problem. That means always we receive the global minima. Okay, it will start with the global, and hence it can be solved using the standard Lagrange multiplier method. And here we have to use standard Lagrange multiplier method. Okay, so here the objective function is quadratic and the constants are linear in the parameters w and b, hence it is a convex optimization problem, and hence it can be solved using standard Lagrange multiplier method. And here we rewrite the objective function in a form that takes into account the constraint, and the new objective function is known as Lagrange for the optimization problem. So here we have to introduce this particular part, so we have to rewrite the equation. So this is what our objective function, and this is what constant, this part is the constant. Okay, so we have accommodated the objective function as well as the inequality constants, where alpha I is called Lagrange multipliers. It is called Lagrange multipliers. Now the actual objective function is this one. This is what our objective function, and the actual objective function, this one, is minimized. So question is, why should we use this one? Such type of typical equation. Why should we use this one? Our main objective function is to this one. So why should we not consider only this particular part? Now the objective function, this one is minimized when w is equal to 0. So it will be minimized when w is equal to 0, a null vector whose components are all zeros. So but our equation is what? Our equation is what? Wx plus b is equal to 0. So if it is 0, that means what? It should be 0. B is also 0, and that is not feasible solution of b. Okay, therefore we need such type of equation. Now to minimize the Lagrangian, we must take the derivative of L with respect to w and b and set them to 0. Okay, so here we have to apply, to minimize this one we have to derivative this one. So partial derivative. So for this one you can write w minus, and here w term is with only this particular part. Okay, so we can write 1 to n alpha I yi xi. So alpha I yi and xi. Now here no w term is there, here no w term is there, and which is 0. That means w is nothing but summation of 1 to n alpha I yi xi. Similarly, we can get this one. So by L, so we can see here that b, here there is no b term. Okay, there is no b term, only b term is here. So it should be what? It should be summation of I is equal to 1 to n alpha I yi, which is 0. Okay, now substitute w, okay, and this one in this particular equation. So now first of all break it. It helps to solve this one. Now first of all this one, this particular part, summation of I is equal to 1 to n, okay, alpha I yi xi, alpha I yi xi, and put w here, minus summation of I is equal to 1 to n for alpha I yi and b, alpha I yi b, put b here, plus alpha I minus 1, that means summation of 1 to n alpha. And just we have seen that alpha I yi, it is a 0. That means what? This particular part is 0. That means, and what is w? What is w? W is this one. So we have to put the w value here. So if you put w value here, we can write yi xi. So w square we can write like another alpha I. Now we just, for mathematical convenience, instead of taking I both side, we can take I and j. Both I and j belongs to, it should be both I and j all are in between 1 to n, minus this particular part. So this is w. What is w? Alpha I yi xi into summation of alpha j yj xj. So this is j. Okay, so better to write this. Okay, this one, this part is 0 plus I is equal to 1 to n alpha I. So if you put here initial, that means I is equal to 1 to n alpha I, and both are same. So this minus half of this, okay, that means minus 1 by 2 alpha I and j, alpha I, alpha j, yi, yj, xi into xj. Okay, this is what our L. So moreover, following constraint is used. The condition of KKT condition is used where alpha I should be greater than 0 and alpha I yi w xi plus b minus 1 must be 0. And the final decision boundary can be expressed like this way: summation of alpha I yi xi into xj plus b is equal to 0. Okay, so xi is a training data and xj, if it is unknown data, if the data is unknown, then we can write like this way: alpha I yi xi into the x unknown plus b is equal to 0. And we have to identify the alpha I value. We have to identify the alpha I value Lagrange multiplier numerically. Okay, and that is the end of this particular video. Thank you very much.